Okay, let me give you some tips that I have learned here at Oxford on how to behave, okay? Tips on how to look smart. I've noticed this from students in the classroom. You can look smart asking your question. In fact, when you're asking a professor or lecturer a question, that question doesn't have to have anything to do with wanting to know the answer. In fact, sometimes questions are really just a way to prove to the rest of your peers that you're really intelligent, and there are certain things you can do. One, use huge words, okay? 4 syllables average. Use those big words and everyone else will be like, oh my gosh, they're really smart. And another thing that's very important is make sure that you drop some names. You gotta drop some names, some obscure authors, weird books. So if you have a question for your prof or your lecturer, you have to be like, like, yes, you're like, what do you feel is the connection between this and James W. Dawkinson's moral theory on relative moral obscurity in his book Morality and the Virtues of Ethical Choice, which I've read, by the way, that book that I mentioned. I've read it, I own it actually, and I just wanted to know what your opinion was on the essence of morality involved in the concepts outlined in chapters 1, 7, and 12 of that book, which I have read, by the way. And that's really all I was interested in. What do you think? You know, because you want your professor to be like, well, actually I haven't read that one, and you can be like, I have. Come on. Anyway, so you look really smart when you do that. Another thing, you can also look cool. If you don't want to look smart, you can look cool. Not necessarily in class when you're asking questions, but the secret to looking cool is to have a nickname for everything, a shortened version of everything. So, if you're going to, I don't know, the White Horse pub, you know, just call it Whitey or something. Or just call it like, hey, I'm going to the horse. You know, and you sound 10 times cooler. Or like, if you're gonna go to the Westgate Shopping Center, be like, yeah, I'm just going to West G right now. You just sound so much cooler if you don't fully say the names of anything. It's just great. Or abbreviating words or something. I mean, like, if someone's like, if you want to say, that's incredible, just be like, that is incred. That is incred, man. And you just sound 10 times cooler. I'm serious. It works. And let's see, I had one other tip that I wanted to give you. Let's see, how to sound smart, how to sound cool. Oh, this isn't so much a tip as it is an observation of the most frustrating thing that can happen to you when you're studying things at Oxford. And that is, you're reading or you're listening to a lecture one way or the other, and there's all these arguments, and it's like, so, you know, A leads to such and such and such and such, which of course implies such and such and such and such. And you're like, yeah, such and such is right. Yeah, definitely. It's like, which then leads to such and such conclusion, which also implies such and such conclusion. And you're like, yeah, wow, that makes perfect sense. And then the next line, or the next thing the lecturer says is, but this, of course, cannot be the case. And you're like, what? What? I'm sorry, I just followed that, and it made perfect sense to me. And now you're saying the whole, like, you're like, oh, obviously, such and such conclusion is not wrong. Halfway through this argument, you should have figured out that there's something fallacious about it, or fallacious, however you want to say it. Anyway, it's the most frustrating thing about Oxford. Anyway, I just wanted to share some of that. Tonight, I'm going to the Oxford Imps, so I'm going to update you on some of the cool things that happen tonight. There's something cool happening every time I go, so you can basically be guaranteed that I will stick my pen into the camera lens, and that I will tell you some cool things that happen tonight at the Oxford Imps. I'm very excited. I got my season pass right here. There we go, green imp ticket. Don't try to recreate this and get into the shows, because you can't. It's printed on special fiber with, if you hold it up to a light, you can see a security strip sewn in there and stuff. It's pretty high-tech. Anyway, shout out goes to my friend Mark, who I hope is now watching these. And Mark, I can't wait to get back. We're gonna have some great times this summer. Sorry. That's it. Scoxford out.